he's going to go there.
If Kerry's heart is in it, and I can't speak to that, only he can do that, I think it's no risk at all. He'll develop into a fine quarterback. He's done it before. He was 7-6 his first year as a rookie and 12-6 his second year, and then he suffered a tremendously debilitating injury, both physically and mentally, and he hasn't come back from it, but he's done it before. I don't see any reason why he can't do it again.
I was just impressed with Kerry in that he understood that he'd made mistakes. His approach to the game was one thing. He didn't think he worked at it, wasn't serious about it, and I think he is now.
There's always risk in any player movement that you make. We did our homework. There's a lot of talent there. His roots are very similar to mine. I worked at the same school with the same coach a long time before him. So we felt that the percentages were in our favor. We have a tremendous support system there, and we'll find out. You never know. There's no certainty. Somebody said to me, "Are you absolutely sure?" I said, "You're not absolutely sure unless it's Willie Mays. Maybe then you're absolutely sure. Other than that, you can't be."
Hey, look, Kerry Collins is a good kid. He's got a lot of skills, and everyone's rooting for him. But, I mean, Jim and Ernie are on the line a little bit here. And in New York, you're really on the line. We'll be back with Seattle's pick in a moment.
BMW 3 Series sedan from $26,970.
The durable, authentic khaki. It gets better with every wash.
The biggest websites, from Amazon.com to Yahoo. And the biggest companies, from British Airways to General Motors, use Oracle for e-business. Do you? The internet is revolutionizing business. From Egghead.com to eBay. From E-Trade to Excite. The companies that know the internet best use Oracle for e-business. Do you?
We process salt in California and the Caribbean.
I'm on my way.
Extract food and feed ingredients from Iowa corn and soybeans. Supply orange juice to New York, Moscow, and Tokyo. And market farm commodities from elevators across North America, where the flow of grain is, at times, briefly interrupted.
Oh my gosh. Happy birthday, Jim.
Cargill. It's not just what we do, it's how we do it.
For 20 points, can you name the greatest, grooviest, swingin'est 70s sports quiz show ever?
Would you like to try again?
The answer is on ESPN Classic. For 20 points, how do you get ESPN Classic? You've got to call 1-800-CLASSIC to get Sports Challenge and the greatest old school boxing, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, and so much more. If you've got a need for knowledge, check the facts on Sports Challenge by calling 1-800-CLASSIC to get ESPN Classic today. Are you old school?
We welcome you back to the theater at Madison Square Garden in New York. 3.5 hours through and much more to go. We're with you till 10 Eastern tonight or until round 3 ends. If you're just hopping on, what has happened in the '99 draft? Take you around the league, starting with Sal Paolantonio in Cleveland.
Head coach Chris Palmer told me that even though he acquired veteran quarterback Ty Detmer in a trade with San Francisco, #1 pick Tim Couch will have a legitimate chance to win the starting job. Palmer said it's open competition on the entire roster. In the second round, they have 2 picks. Look for them to go skill position on offense or perhaps defensive line. Now let's go to Sean Salisbury.
Here in Indianapolis, the Colts got exactly what they wanted with their first-round selection. Miami Hurricane running back Edgerrin James, who fills in now that Marshall Faulk's been traded. Head coach Jim Morris said he loves his versatility and that he can stay in on every down. Look for them in the second round to go defense, corner, or linebacker. Now to Andrea Kramer.
Last year, the Minnesota Vikings quarterbacks had a gentleman's bet as to who could overthrow speedster Randy Moss. Well, they may have gotten the winner today when they selected Central Florida quarterback Dante Culpepper with their 11th pick. Now, keep in mind, though, the Vikings lost 4 starters on defense from a year ago, so with the 29th pick of the first round, they're going to look for help at cornerback and defensive line. Now let's head to Ed Werder.
Well, here in New Orleans, earlier this week, owner Tom Benson infuriated the fandom with a $8 across-the-board ticket price increase. Today, they get a player who may be able to fill those seats no matter the cost. Heisman Trophy winner Ricky Williams, Mike Ditka with nothing to do the rest of the day, planning to go out and meet Williams at the plane. Tom Benson's taking his private plane out there to charter Williams back here to New Orleans. He'll have dinner with staff members, including Mike Ditka tonight. Let's go to Solomon Wilcott.
In Foxborough all week, the Patriots were trying to move up in the draft to take either running back Ricky Williams or Edgerrin James. Instead, the Patriots played let's make a deal, and they would jump 3 spots to take Boston College center Damien Woody with the 17th pick. Now let's send it out to Hank Goldberg.
In Miami, I reminded Jimmy Johnson that at the end of last season, he told me his defense is set. The focus is now going to be on offense. And so he took his number 4th pick, gave it up for restricted free agent Hunter Goodwin, a tight end from Minnesota. Traded his 5th pick to San Francisco for the big guard Kevin Gogan, and one of his 7th picks to the Giants for running back Tyrone Wheatley. So Jimmy's draft started long before today. More offense to come. Let's go to Tom Jackson.
Here in Denver, Mike Shanahan still has 11 picks on the board, and certainly front 7 personnel on the defensive side starting to run low. So if there's going to be a deal, it will probably happen soon. If not, with the 31st pick, we can start thinking about Mike Shanahan moving down and into the 2nd round. Let's go back to Mike Tirico in New York.
Tom, thank you. We've had a trade at pick 20. You see Seattle's on the clock. We can change that now. The Cowboys are on the clock. Mort, why would they make a move up here?
Well, everybody knows that Leon Lett status is hanging in there because of his pending suspension over another positive drug test. They're desperate for defensive linemen. They wanted McFarland. McFarland's off the board. So they got to be looking at somebody like Mike, like Reggie McGrew, the tackle from University of Florida. Now, there's Ekubon, there's Lamar King, players like that. But I think they're desperate for a defensive tackle. McGrew would be a logical pick right here.
We'll go backwards 1/2 second. The Giants took Pettigrew, the offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. We should look at the Giants' new assistant coach as part of the influence of that pick.
Yeah, Jim McNally is their new line coach. And I think the Giants hired him because they want their offensive linemen to have an identity. A very tenacious coach, good technician. Jim McNally obviously liked Pettigrew, although some people thought they'd take an Aaron Gibson, who's a very physical guy. But I know this much, McNally is going to have an influence there.
And still on the board, Ed Werder. We're going to bring him in now from New Orleans, where the Saints' work is done. But Ed does have news on the trade that the Cowboys pulled. Ed?
Right, the Cowboys have moved up in a trade with Seattle, moved up 2 picks. They're going to take North Carolina defensive lineman for the 2nd year in a row, Ebenezer Ekubon. Now, even though there's some question about Leon Lett's eligibility because of a failed drug test, they've always felt like their bigger problem was a defensive end rather than defensive tackle. If necessary, they feel they can move Michael Myers or last year's number 1 pick, Greg Ellis, inside. They need a pass rusher. The last 2 years, their leading sackers only had 6. So that's the move that they're making here with this pick. And they've also signed Quentin Coriat, the outside linebacker, and Daryl Johnson. They've restructured his contract, Mike.
Daryl Johnson was a player they left on the unprotected list for the expansion draft. There was a bit of a surprise there. But Greg Ellis last year, maybe another Tar Heel defensive lineman in a moment. Back to Boomer at the main set.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. A little bit behind the scenes on what Seattle has done from their perspective of it. Remember, they came into this draft with just 5 picks. So they now pick up 2 in the trade with New England. They pick up another 1 in the trade here with the Dallas Cowboys. So they now have 8 picks. So they're getting back. You know, they can maneuver a little bit, albeit a lot of the picks are not. You know, this one is the here's the first pick. The swap ones, they get a 3 and a 6 from New England. And to swap ones with Dallas, here's the one just made. They pick up a 5. So they pick up a 3, a 5, and a 6, which on paper isn't huge. But when you're only going with 5 picks, that's something that you can work with. Now, from Dallas's perspective, you heard Ed talk about a little bit with Leon Lett, maybe gone a year longer, who knows. This is very smart, and maybe a pick that they might have made anyway, although certainly now a little bit more for need.
Yeah, there's no question. I think the area of need for the Dallas Cowboys certainly focused on the defensive line. If Leon Lett winds up not playing, then it's an excellent move. Even if Leon Lett was there, it was going to be an area of complement. Kavika Pittman, McCormick. These are guys that have really got to be able to come on and be able to play some football. There's no question that the